a presentation coach turned relationship hacker. And I remember a time waking up with all this anxiety, wondering how was I going to have that difficult conversation with my partner today, or my mother, or my boss. You know, a conversation that will probably just make things worse.
And I'm Shai, a serial entrepreneur turned relationship coach. And I remember thinking, I've talked to that person a million times about the same thing, and nothing ever changes.
That's right. Now, if you've ever felt this way, you're not alone, you are trying your best, and we believe we can empower you to make things better. We are the creators of SPARC, Tools for Relationship Mastery. So we spent years cracking the code on how to approach those difficult conversations with confidence, how to diffuse conflicts faster, and put the heart back in the conversation. And that is the spirit behind the SPARC method, our blueprint for healthy communication.
And when we realized just how powerful the system was, we knew that we just had to share it. We genuinely wish for everyone to be empowered with this system so that they can thrive in their relationships just the way we do now.
But it wasn't always this way. Years ago, I was caught up in the same cycle of unresolved issues, resentment, and a growing disconnection with my partner. And after a year of relationship coaching, my ex and I decided to consciously uncouple, and today we are loving co-parents and great friends.
So what would your life look like if you were not just surviving in your relationships, but actually thriving?
Yeah, imagine waking up every day to more harmony in your home, more peace with your partner, or your friends, your family, your coworkers, whomever.
SPARC was actually brought to life through years of studying and extracting what resonated most for us from various communication methods. In this training video, we'll teach you how to set the stage for those difficult conversations by staying in your heart and building rapport.
How to ask strategic questions and acknowledge the answers, gather useful information, and lower resistance.
And also how to reframe observations, meanings, emotions, and needs.
And lastly, collaborate on creative solutions that can get everyone's needs met.
First, a little bit of background on how we developed the formula for SPARC. So, I started my first company when I was just 19, and over the last 2 decades, I've employed thousands of people. And when you're managing that many people, you see a lot of conflicts. I actually developed a natural knack for diffusing workplace conflicts just by listening and reasoning with my staff. On top of managing my company, I was also starting a family, and for many years, I thought that my wife and I were the picture-perfect couple. We were raising 2 amazing kids, the business was taking off, we had a beautiful home. I mean, what else could we have asked for?
Right, but let me guess, things aren't always what they seem, right?
That's exactly right. I'll never forget the night that Danielle sat me down and dropped the bomb that she wanted a divorce. I saw the sadness in her eyes, I heard the conviction in her voice, and she told me she was done. It shook me to the core.
Wow, that is really rough, Shai, and I bet a lot of us know exactly what that felt like.
I know, all I could think was not us. Sure, I mean, we had some differences, but we were the perfect couple. Now our kids were going to come from a broken home. It just didn't feel real to me.
I hear you.
As we were trying to navigate this transition, I made it my mission to figure out what I could have done better. I spent the next 3 years working with relationship counselors and studying different forms of mindful communication. I exposed myself to approaches like the Dale Carnegie method, Imago theory, Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, and neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. I started using a blend of the best components of these methods to resolve conflicts in my business, which I developed into a new framework called SPARC. And it really started to change the dynamics in our workplace as I began teaching the method to my employees. And it really hit me how universal SPARC was to any relationship when one of my top managers told me that he was having trouble at home. He wanted to bring his wife in to have me teach her the SPARC method. They were literally on the brink, and he was desperate. And it totally worked. They started practicing SPARC at home, and it literally saved their marriage.
Wow, it's just so amazing that you were able to see such big results like that with your work.
I know, and And then I started using Spark at home with Danielle to help navigate our own transition, and it actually led to a very unexpected outcome. See, Danielle and I decided to consciously uncouple, meaning amicably separating as romantic partners, but committing to lovingly co-parent our children as next-door neighbors, while welcoming new partners into our lives. So today, Danielle, her boyfriend Mike, my lovely girlfriend, and you may know her as Leah, and 5 children between us all live as a close-knit community. Now, 2 years later, we can honestly say that our lives have been enriched by expanding our family in this way, instead of seeing our children experience the typical broken home.
It's such an incredible story, especially considering how rare conscious uncoupling is nowadays. I mean, how many of us have witnessed the messy breakups in our own marriages or of our parents, our siblings, and our friends? I can personally attest that Spark had a huge impact in navigating my own conscious uncoupling with my husband of 8 years. And today, it's not perfect, but I can say that we're stronger in communicating more than ever. All right, so now I'm too so excited to share this with everyone. Should we get this party started?
Yes, please.
Okay, so throughout the training, we're going to use a simple kitchen analogy that I think everyone can relate to. Say you have a dirty pot full of really nasty stuck-on residue. You can't just run it under cold water and expect it to come out clean, right?
Nope. You'd need to soak it in some soap and hot water and then scrub it out. It's a step-by-step process that's proven to work time and time again. Similarly, Spark is the same kind of repeatable process that will get you consistent results in navigating through conflicts in your relationships.
So the best way to introduce you to the Spark process would be through a little instructional video that we put together. Danielle and her partner Mike were gracious enough to portray a common example of conflict and the resolution using the Spark method. So first you'll see how the situation unfolded, and then Shai and I will break the actual method down.
Hey babe, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, thanks.
Good. I have a little surprise for you.
Do you?
You know how I've been so excited about this nutrition kick we're on? I got a Vitamix.
Okay, aren't those expensive?
Yeah? You're not excited?
I'm a little upset. What were you thinking?
Are you kidding me?
Let's just take a couple deep breaths. Come here.
What's going on?
Can you tell me a little bit about what you were thinking, making a purchase this large?
Well, number one, I've been really excited about our health and our family's health. And I've been researching and I bought new books. And this was part of my step into that. And number two, I have been saving. So,
Okay.
yes.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you've been planning ahead for this.
I have
You've been
been.
putting money aside and you're thinking about the health of our family.
Yes.
And I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I have been, and I'm noticing how upset you are. I'm surprised. What's coming up for you?
I just thought we decided to make these choices together, large purchases. I would be okay with a surprise with a smaller purchase, but we have other bills we need to cover. Now we have a credit card that's racking up interest.
I know.
We need to pay that, and we need to discuss these things. Would you be willing to make a compromise and let me know about larger purchases like this? Would that be reasonable?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm realizing that you've had a lot of pressure on you, and absolutely, I will let you know with major purchases. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I apologize for my reaction earlier. Thank you for thinking of our family's health. This is actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Want to make me a shake?
Yes, I would love to. Love you.
Love you.
Now, with that video and situation in mind, let's break down the acronym of SPARC. There are actually 5 basic steps.
And those steps are 1, set the stage, 2, probe, 3, acknowledge, 4, reframe, and 5, collaborate.
We start with S for setting the stage. See, a lot of times we jump into conflicts being highly emotional and defensive. So it's easy to understand why many well-intentioned discussions don't go very well. For now, think of soaking the pot in soap and hot water as setting the stage. In this step, we're using our good intentions to soften anger, just like softening the pot residue by soaking it before we scrub. You may have noticed how Mike caught himself in a situation that was quickly becoming tense, so he chose to set the stage by hugging Danielle and rebuilding his rapport with her.
And in the Advanced SPARC training program, which we'll invite you to join at the end of this video, we'll dive into specific techniques to properly set the stage. These techniques include discharging negative energy, expressing gratitude for the other person, and setting intentions for resolution, just to name a few. But setting the stage is a crucial step in laying the groundwork for a productive conversation. So, what's the next step, Shai?
Okay, so after you've set the stage, the P in SPARC is for probing, and the A is for acknowledging, and they actually work together. So referring back to that stubborn, sticky pot analogy, think of probing and acknowledging as scrubbing the pot and checking, then scrubbing the pot again and checking again. You do this until all the gunk is gone. So you may have noticed how Mike chose to thoughtfully ask questions and mirror back or acknowledge Danielle's answers. So we probe and acknowledge to gather information and lower resistance at the same time. We patiently ask questions that show a genuine curiosity in the other person's experience, and I mean genuine. We want to draw out the other person's full expression of what we call their omen. We're trying to gather their observations, their meanings, their emotions, and their needs, basically their view of the world. Now, mastering how to reframe their omen is a whole separate sub-tool set, which we'll dive deeper into during our advanced program. But for now, we're going to keep it moving with probing and acknowledging.
So these two steps is where you're going to spend most of your time. So it's crucial to master both of them. The key here is to have the humility to know that you don't know what you don't know. So try not to attach your own assumptions to what they're feeling, and take a sincere interest by asking lots of heartfelt and interested questions. In fact, if you forget everything else you hear today, at least remember this. The key to healthy communication is asking lots of good questions and then listening carefully for the answers. So probing is where you're going to want to pay the most attention.
Now, staying with these two steps, as we probe, we also mirror or repeat back those observations, those meanings, emotions, and needs without judgment and with empathy. Now, this is super important to remember. We are not correcting what they say or trying to fix anything at this stage. We're simply acknowledging what was said and repeating it back to make sure we got it right. And we continue this cycle of probing and acknowledging back and forth until the other person appears to be fully expressed.
So, just a word of advice here. You may hear hysterical and judgmental comments being flung at you from the other person, but you must keep your cool. One great way to do this is to remind yourself that if it sounds hysterical, then it's probably historical. We love that one. Shai, can you explain what that means exactly?
That basically means that you may hear responses that make no sense to you. They sound hysterical. And very often, they are tied to deep historical wounding you may not easily see or be aware of. Knowing this allows us to have more compassion as we process things that don't make sense to us. So exercising patience and humility while probing and acknowledging is the key to SPARC, and will really pay off if you truly work at it. In fact, I love this beautiful quote from Viktor E. Frankl. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom."
That is such a beautiful quote. In that space is our power to choose our response. Wow. So, with that in mind, there are two possible options to choose from in how we respond after the probing and acknowledging steps are complete. The first is after gathering new information, we may decide to improve our own behavior or change our position on things. Or we may still see an opportunity for improvement or reframing in the other person's perspective. And in the advanced SPARC training, you will learn how to differentiate between these two and how to proceed. And this is absolutely critical.
Great. So the next letter in SPARC, after setting the stage, probing, acknowledging, is the R, where we work to reframe observations, meanings, emotions, and needs. This is where the real magic of SPARC happens. You may have noticed how Danielle, in that case, reframed Mike's perspective by simply adding her own useful observations while answering his questions. Now, reframing is the most challenging part of SPARC. It takes a lot of practice, and it's something we teach at length in the advanced training.
Awesome. And finally, the C in SPARC is where we collaborate and we find a way to meet everyone's unmet needs. In this step, we collaborate by making creative and reasonable requests that can lead to everyone's needs being met. And once our differences are resolved, we can establish reasonable goals and make a commitment to follow up and check in with each other as needed.
Remember how Danielle and Mike collaborated at the end and made commitments to communicate better moving forward on certain decisions. This is the key piece that will allow you to build a foundation for growth in your relationship. And that, my friends, is the SPARC system in a nutshell.
Well, thanks, Shai, for wrapping that up so nicely. So to recap, the 5 basic steps of SPARC are 1. Set the stage. 2. Probe. 3. Acknowledge. 4. Reframe. And 5. Collaborate.
So we hope that this brief introduction to the SPARC method has shown you what's possible when you shift from automatic knee-jerk reactions to more mindful, compassionate communication.
So you've decided you're ready to upgrade your communication using the SPARC method. What's your next step? Well, we are so excited to announce that we are currently developing an advanced online SPARC training system. It will be an online course that takes a deep dive into each step of SPARC with guidance from us. But while we're busy building the online SPARC system for you, in the meantime, we are offering private coaching sessions for people who are really ready to master navigating those difficult conversations. You'll get personalized guidance through your specific communication challenges and roadblocks, and be on your way to a more harmonious and rewarding relationship in no time. So, if you're ready to work with us, please click the link below to sign up for a spot on our private coaching list. Sessions are limited, so you'll really want to claim your spot now.
So we hope we've got you thinking about how you can resolve conflicts in your relationships differently now.
And the next step is simple. Follow the instructions below to get access, or hop on over to sparkmethod.com and register there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.